Hey everybody, my name is Andrew Davis, and you are watching Season 3 of Conversations in Pop Culture, brought to you by my sponsors, Mixum Printing, the smarter way to print. I know printing your creative project can be confusing and stressful, but Mixum is here to make it easy. From their instant quote calculator to let you get as many quotes as you want for free, to their 24-hour customer service support, Mixum is here to make sure your printing experience runs smoothly from start to finish. And right now you can choose from a range of premium printing options and materials. And the company has also printed so many successful Kickstarter campaigns. Some of them you have even heard about on this very show. And they currently offer services in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the UK. And Mixum can print and reach your audience anywhere in the world. So if you're ready to print smarter, not harder, head over to Mixum.com. And right now, listeners of my show can drop my name, Andrew Davis, in the message tab of a current order to get a 5% discount on their first order. So that is mixam.com. Again, type my name, Andrew Davis, in the message tab of your current order to receive a 5% discount on your first order. And also, I am sponsored by BCW Supplies. Use code POPAnimeComics to get 10% off your entire order. And you can buy bags, boards, anything with comics related to them. And so without further ado, I have with me Stef Wilson and Kerry Ann. So welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, I am very excited because the two of you have been killing it on Kickstarter, and you have at least 5 to 6 covers on Kickstarter, but it's probably more like 10 every single month. And we're going to talk about that, I promise everybody. We're going to talk about that, I promise. But before we get into that, I am very curious because you both have very unique art styles. A lot of people know your art styles, but how did you really get into comics and drawing and all that stuff? Because it is beyond fascinating. I think that's what everybody wants to know.
Okay. I had a career and I was selling fan art of your basic Power Girl sketches and Wonder Woman and stuff like that on eBay for years. And then it went from a hobby to a side business to making serious money. And so Kerry basically looked at me and said, do it or don't at this point. And so I jumped onto, she created a website for me. I jumped onto social media and started selling fan art on social media. And I did that for really only a few months. And somebody asked me for a cover. And it was funny because the guy who asked me for a cover, he said, hey, do you do covers? And I'm like, I don't do sketch covers right now because I just wasn't working with sketch covers. And he's like, no, I mean a real cover. And so suddenly I started to draw a few covers here and there and get a couple covers from publishers. And right about then, I'd say maybe a 10th or 11th cover or something like that. I was getting different people coloring my work. And that's where her story takes over.
So I decided to get a iPad just to ink his work. And to set it up in the aspect ratio, because he was having a hard time, not knowing the comic world, not knowing, what size to do it in and what size to work in. So I bought the iPad and I started inking, and something came back with one of his colors and the eyes weren't right. So I was like, okay, well, let me play. And that was history. I taught myself Procreate, and within 2 weeks, I was on my first cover.
So to even talk about that, because this is so unique, because obviously you were doing some fan art and some other things, and I have some pictures of some of this stuff, and some of it's early, and hopefully I won't get demonetized on Facebook or kicked off because, well, your style might lend that to it. But this is something that's early. I think when your website was starting to come up.
Very early.
Yeah, that was early.
And I don't know what the white stuff is, but we're going to leave that to everybody's imagination. And then this is another one that I thoroughly like as well.
That one.
Red Zone, yeah. Oh, that was fun.
And obviously, it's a droid thing, right?
Yes. I love Naughty Leia. I just love drawing Leia being not Leia, not Princess Leia, being something else,
Sure. What do you mean? That's totally her. That's
I know,
exactly
right?
what she behaves like when she's not on screen. I mean, clearly.
It's what everybody wants Leia to be, a little naughty, a little fun,
And then even going further, obviously this right here, which I just think is so perfect in so many ways. Red Sonja, and again, that's sort of what everybody wants with Red Sonja. And then this is
That's
another
so
one.
realistic for you.
Yeah, that was when I was still drawing a little realistically, because I started drawing realistically. My sketches would have looked, all my sketches would have looked similar to that. They were very realistic in style. But as my drawing sold faster, since it was a hobby, I had to draw faster, and my style came out of simplifying, accenting the things that people most liked about my drawings. And so my style became simpler or quicker.
Because
And that's
this is one of the things that I was obviously on somebody's show, and I said, "Hey, I'm interviewing Stef tomorrow." And one of the questions is that, like, what was the inspiration? Because to me, your style, and I dubbed it obviously in Trish and Mike's, interview. I said it's kind of new school pinup,
right.
and I love new school artwork. I love the idea of you have to know the rules to break the rules,
Right.
and then I love pinup, and I love when the two things are matched up. And like, there's certain things like I would love to tattoo on my body that you've done because it's absolutely my style. And was that just sort of a happy accident, or was that intentional? Because to me, if you tell me it's an accident, I'm just gonna leave.
No, like one of my favorite artists, I'm not a comic person. Like, I didn't grow up with comics. I grew up with Dungeons and Dragons. So I didn't discover comics per se until the 90s, when I was older, and I would go into this comic book shop, and they had really cool art books and really cool heavy metal graphic novels. And that was the stuff that attracted me, was the art in those heavy metal graphic novels, the art in those art books. That was why I was in a comic shop. So the thing is, all those art books and all that art that I looked at was very realistic. But then I started to see things like, one of the first artists I liked was like Bill McKay, where you take realism and you make it a little poppier. You don't stick with the straight on realism. You make it a little bit more fun. And since I loved his work, as I was drawing and getting into drawing and starting to draw, I went or leaned more towards that kind of a comic-y style. And it's funny because I think, like Phil Foglio from Dragon Magazine, my work isn't that far from his. And it's funny because he had a very cartoon and fun style, and I think it lends itself to that kind of tattoo style pinup. Like, a lot of people have gotten tattoos of my work. They've either commissioned for it or they've just liked the picture, and I said, go ahead, do it.
Yeah, I've always compared your new style to Betty Boop and Jessica Rabbit kind of combined. That ultra sexy, bubbly, bouncy girls.
Yeah, it's very much that, and that's obviously what drew me to you and certain covers. And we're going to talk about covers and all that stuff. But obviously, I do want to show some other things, and this one's like one that's really cool. Where obviously, Vampirella, new school, and this is why we can't have nice things, or at least Bruce can't have nice things.
Yes, Carol. Oh God, I had so much fun doing those.
And I love this one. I just think it's hilarious. And then obviously, that I love too, because that's just fun and enjoyable.
The color, yeah.
And then obviously this one as well. I just think
yes, I even know who got that one. God, that was when I first got on social media.
And then this is one of my favorite restaurants to go to. And
yes, Hooters is always fun to take a superhero and put him into Hooters.
And so this is just some of the early stuff that you've done. And obviously, I think that last one was a sketch cover, or it was a print or something like that. But even because this was all sort of like when you were developing your style and really going into that simpler style. And a lot of what I just showed was way before you even did the covers. And so what was this like, really honing that and building that out and making that work? Because this is the stuff that I think people love more so than the covers in a lot of ways.
Yeah, those are my origin story sketches. Those are the brown paper sketches. That there was an artist when I drew a couple sketches, sold them on eBay, and then there was an artist, Ringback Sabrina, which is just the made up name that they go by, and they were using an ivory toned paper, and I just thought toned paper was fun, and that's when I discovered I've even talked to other artists. What's amazing about toned paper is you're starting from a medium tone. So you can use white and you can use black and you can go the full spectrum of colors. So it has a lot more versatility than white paper because you're in the middle range of the color spectrum. And so I just started doing tone paper sketches, which was very different on eBay. There wasn't a lot of artists using that paper and using those colors in that way. And so the whole time I was sitting there just drawing and selling on eBay, basically my style or the way I was drawing was being developed by people buying my stuff.
And I guarantee you, so many people are so pissed that they didn't get your original stuff on eBay.
Oh God, I used to sell them for like $20.
$20 on eBay.
$20.
And so what is that like for you? Because we're going to talk about the cover stuff. And obviously, you're now very much a well sought after cover artist. And we're going to get into all that. But what is that like for you, knowing that you really grinded your teeth and that there are people who have all these original sketches and commissions and things that you were selling? I don't want to say for dirt cheap, but probably way undervalued now.
Well, the way I always look at it is Jesse Wichman, one of my art friends, said once, about somebody reselling his work or whatever, I got paid for it once. So when I was asking $20 for a sketch, that's what I was asking for it, and I got paid for it. And if somebody has a $20 sketch of mine, I'm glad they got it, because enough people got $20 sketches and then $40 sketches and then $60 sketches that I was drawing constantly, like all the time, in all my spare time. And that's how my skills developed. Like, if these people hadn't bought $20 sketches, I wouldn't be any good right now. So every single $20 sketch I sold paved the way for where I am now. So I'm grateful for everybody who got $20 sketches.
Because that's something that I think people don't understand. And obviously, I just had Ben Dunn on a little while ago, about 25 minutes ago. And he said, you should be creating something every single day. And you should be doing something and obviously developing your skills, even if it's for an hour, because this is the way you get better. One of the things is that I do a lot of interviewing, and this is, I think, my 9th or 10th year interviewing collectively. And every day I'm working on an interview. Maybe I'll take a Thursday off, but where I'm at as an interviewer is very different than somebody who only does it once a week. And I think that's something that, I was doing it, and it goes to the idea that you have to constantly hone your skills. Now, I'm now starting to get paid for this stuff. But again, my sponsors, and in another 10 years, I'm going to be hopefully making a lot more money, but I've cut my teeth on it. And it's a very interesting thing that it's sort of cool, I think. And also, I think it's kind of interesting that people are like, man, this artist is really good. Let me pick something up and take a risk. And then fast forward, you go into covers. And what was that like? Because obviously you did a bunch of covers, and that's when things really started happening, because you're brand new to the cover game.
Right. Yeah,
we're brand new, but
how long we've been doing covers?
We've been doing covers just about, it'll be about 2.5 years.
You're a baby in the cover game.
We are going to be coming out with our 200th cover
very shortly.
In, probably March-ish.
You're a baby in this. Like
I know. We are. In time, we are. In quantity.
In quantity, not so much.
We're everywhere, but in time, we're so new, and we're learning we learn things new every day.
Like we get, and that's part of it, is like we work a lot, and we get that being around in the business for 2.5 years, almost 3 years, and going on our 200th cover. We know, and we're very grateful for, and we work very hard for the fact that isn't common. It's not common for a comic cover, pinup cover artist, which is a very specific set of skills and a very specific field, to be doing their 200th cover in their 3rd year. And I know that, and we're grateful for it.
Every day we're grateful,
and we work hard for it, and we hustle for it. We build relationships with great creators, and so we're always aware of the fact that we're in a really good place for a start.
So to even talk about this, because this is what's very interesting, where obviously I know your covers, and I didn't realize that you were so new to the game, and I don't think a lot of people know that. I think you two popped up somewhat out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you're everywhere.
Right.
And I think people are like, oh man, I must have missed the last 5 years. That was my intention and my understanding. And obviously, when I started doing research, I'm like, you guys came in late 2018, early 2019.
Right.
What the fuck? Like
Right. Right. I know.
and so how did that even occur? And how did you get, because I know like somebody approached you, said, hey, do you do a cover? Or can I get a
Right.
cover? But even what was that like? And what was even the mentality? Because it seems to me that you didn't even know that was a possibility.
I had no clue. I came running downstairs to say, this guy's actually asking, to tell her, some guy's actually asking me for a comic cover.
And we didn't even have a scanner. I mean, this is like, I mean, it was, I mean, he drew it. I think we went to Staples to scan it to
scan
him.
it to the guy.
You know, because we didn't have a scanner that would work. He did it on a 9x12
piece of paper,
which is what that, you know, which really screwed up the aspect, but which was good because that got me into the comics.
Right.
But you know, it was, we were so not prepared for it. But we believe in, you say yes and you figure it out as you go.
Figure it out as you go along.
You know, I mean, it's okay, whatever. Sure, we'll do it.
Yeah, you want to cover? No problem. I'm an expert at it.
Because it's so interesting because covers now, and I'm curious because I think, was it the Naughty and Nice Harley Finn cover?
That was one of the first.
The guy who asked us for a cover
never used it.
Never used that work. He ended up having me do another cover for him later. But the Hardly Thin was the first cover we ever did for Joe Buku.
Yes.
Yeah, Buku Comics. And
this is the only one I could show, guys. The other one I can't show.
No, you can't. And it was so amazing because Joe reached out to me. He's a comic retailer and he wanted to do a variant. And I was like, okay, sure. And I played like I knew what I was doing. And he got me Sean Forney to color that. And
you did a great job, Sean. Yes.
And I still remember we're walking into AC Moore and I got the picture, the photo file back. And we were walking into AC Moore and I was like, oh my God, Sean Forney colored my cover. Oh my God, look, I got my first comic cover. Look at this. And I was so thrilled. And it's so weird that was 3 years ago. It's bizarre that was 3 years
But we
ago.
still get excited.
Every cover is exciting.
Every time a cover comes out, every time we get our comps and we actually see it printed, we're both like kids in a candy store. We're so excited.
It is like nothing in the world to see your art on a physical book.
You can't see it now, but we have, I would say, 100 covers on against the wall here behind us. And I just stare at them all day. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And even sort of sticking with the same company / same theme, and this is another one that's obviously paint.
Yes, my Vampy cover. You know what?
Now that one was one of the early ones that I colored.
What's fun about this particular cover, the one you can't show, is where her top comes off. And what I love about it is Joe is a really great guy, and he lets you have fun with the covers. So when I made it a risque or a topless by having her pull the sides apart, she turns from the face she has on now to a big smile, and a bunch more bats show up to see because she's taken her top off. And that's the kind of stuff I love when you can tell a story on a cover, you know, like especially on a regular and a topless. If there's a reason that she's topless or a fun little story to why she's topless, those are my favorite because then you get two different covers.
So to even talk about that, because one of the things is that I only have 2 or 3 of your covers.
What?
And I'll tell you which ones. I'm not going to say it at the moment.
You're not a completist?
I am not. I came into the game slightly late. And it's because my friends had Kickstarters, and you know, I was like, oh, I want to read their book, and then you had a cover on it, and that's kind of how this is all Chuck's fault. Chuck Pugh's.
Chuck. Well, Chuck causes a lot of trouble.
He causes a lot of problems.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why he's always invited back on my show, but that's not the point.
Right.
But one of the things is that you do have a lot of fun with your covers, and that's why I'm very much drawn to them. And what is that like to have that freedom and to have it be that new school and fun? Because I feel like it is what it's supposed to be, where it's not a serious cover. It makes fun of things. It's making fun of the book, and it's a cool style in a lot of ways. And I think that's why people say, I want a Stef Wilson cover on my book. How do I get Stef Wilson to draw for me? Is what I hear all the time with people.
All they have to do is ask.
Just message. You know, it's the thing is, some creators, especially like Wendy, we just did a cover for her Kickstarter. After her Kickstarter was going on, because it was a rock themed Kickstarter, her Sireness Kickstarter, and I suddenly saw Yeah, that's a
One of my
Wendy cover.
favorites. Yeah.
And I suddenly saw the Axl Rose, the Guns N' Roses video, which was all in black and white, where they were at the stadium, and I'm watching Axl Rose going across the stage, and he looks exhausted.
Yeah, that's the Ozzy one.
And then there's the one with it's all
That
there.
one,
It is
right
I
there.
can only show it briefly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I can actually show it a lot more than briefly. I don't really care. So
Axl goes wandering.
That one's okay. It's
what?
semi. It's not bad.
What?
That cover. It's
Oh.
not that bad.
What?
It's sheer.
Oh yeah.
It's sheer.
Little sheer.
Yeah.
But anyway, Axl's going across the stage looking exhausted and everything else. And I suddenly wanted to draw that. A rock star who's had about enough of this tour, and there's a stadium full of fans out there, and they're going to go. And so I sketched that out and showed it to Wendy on a video chat that she was doing with Kerry. And Wendy was like, let's do this cover. Like, and I love that. Like, even like Chuck, when he asked me for a cover, Belial is about demons and hell and everything else like that. So Chuck asked me, I said that I wanted to do a cover for him. And it was just so funny because I just sketched this out. Yeah, the beer pong. It's got nothing to do with his book. But the fact that I just wanted to draw a little demon-esque girl with Belial. And then I thought of putting her in the Hooters outfit. And then for some reason, the ping pong ball stuck in her shirt with that little mischievous demon reaching for it. And I just put it together, and Chuck said, oh, crap, we got to do that. And I love that these creators are always like, oh, yeah, let's do it. You know?
So to even talk about that, because I love this cover because I just thought it was funny. And I was joking with Chuck, does it say Hooters or does it say Looters?
Right.
And that's what I thought was hilarious about it. And I also like she's a redhead. You know, I used to date a redhead. And obviously for me, I viewed this thing and I'm just like, oh my God, this looks so perfect. And it was like $15. And I'm like, man, I didn't know who you were at the time either. I'm like, this is everything I want.
Right.
I don't know anything about this comic. I don't care.
Right.
Cover, like I want a poster of this.
Right.
I want a big canvas poster. And I was hanging it up right there.
A door poster.
Do it for free.
Yep.
Every episode. It's like, because it's so perfect. And this is what I mean. And this is what I think people don't understand is that, like, if I saw this in a comic shop, I'm buying it and I'm not going to ask any questions. And my mom hates this cover, which means it's a great cover.
It's a great cover. Exactly.
And so I'm curious on the opposite side, though, because you draw it and then Kerry, and you do the colors on it. And what is that like? Because coloring is a whole different beast. I had Sanju Navagun on, you know, and I've had other people on who do coloring, and you can make or break a book very, very
easily.
Definitely. I mean, and I'd say a lot of the work I work with is Stef's. I mean, I do other coloring jobs as well, but most of the work I work is with Stef because we're so busy. And so we've kind of gotten it down pat. And I understand his art process, So for me, it's a lot easier to do his work. And, you know, I mean, it's just, you know, I don't find it. I love coloring. I absolutely love it. I do it all day long, every day. And the more I do it, the easier it gets.
And when we first started, you know,
you can see the difference.
When we first started, well, we can see the difference, but also the important thing was I was unhappy with a lot of the coloring that I was getting because they
were good colors.
Yeah.
They were amazing colors. They just weren't.
They weren't capturing the way my girls look. That Belial cover captures what my drawings have always been about. And she always knew what my style was supposed to look like. Even as she was learning how to do the process, she knew what the end product should look like because she'd seen me do so many drawings that she knew what my girls should look like. They should be bubbly in certain places, their expressions, everything else. So
let's even talk about that, because obviously certain colorists understand certain books, they understand certain properties, and they also, you know, certain people just don't blend together well. They clash.
Well, every colorist has their own style, just like an artist.
Yeah.
You know, I don't color like anybody else. Sanju doesn't color like anybody else. Gwen doesn't color like anybody else. Like I can look at at a cover and be like, oh, Sanju colored that. Or, oh, you know, Gwen colored that. And some artwork some colorists don't mess with. There's some art lines that I won't do because it's just not my style. It's not going to work with me.
And I know a lot of artists put a lot of, if you see the cover art like that's available on my website or whatever, you'll see that unless otherwise specifically requested, I give her, because it makes more sense for her, I give her a line file basically. I know a lot of artists out there who shade their work and hash mark their work and stuff and put a lot of detail in. I give her lines that she can put color into because that's how we work together. So, you know, another colorist might not be used to what looks like, it looks like a paint by number when it's done. They're just lines. There's no shading for any of the body shapes or anything. But that's because I know she knows what to do with those lines. So we just work well together.
Yeah, and I think that's also the idea is that obviously you work in the same studio, that helps, and you're very much a team. You're in the same house. I don't know if I could have said that, but I just did.
Yes.
No,
And
it's okay. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
I'm just making sure that I didn't do
Yep.
something wrong here. But it's also the idea that when you legitimately are directly communicating with somebody,
Right.
God forbid there's a question about something. Obviously, when you're shooting somebody, and nothing against Sanju, but Sanju lives in India. It's
I
a
know.
little bit different when somebody's on a different time zone
Exactly.
and you know you're in a different country and you have to communicate by email versus picking up the phone and saying hello to somebody, you know.
Right.
And so
collaboration is definitely the key. And, you know, I have had the opportunity of working with some great artists and doing some wonderful coloring. And the thing that makes them better is the collaboration. Like, I don't know if you know April Reina.
I don't. I'm
Oh,
so
she's
bad at this.
amazing.
I'm so
She's
bad.
absolutely amazing. And I've gotten to work on a lot of, and as an artist and as a colorist, I respect her so much because when I color her work, I mean, I have files and files of reference pages. You know, so I mean, it's just, but it's that I know what she wants. And then we'll communicate and I'll send her the flats and say, okay, did I miss anything? Is this what you were interpreting? Because you never know. I did one once for somebody and I colored the whole thing and it turned out she was on stage and I didn't see it that way. You know, because it's all about interpretation. So with Stef, it's easy because all I have to do is scream across the room, say, what is this supposed to be?
Right.
You know.
And obviously, some of these are easier than others. I mean, the Bilal is clear that she's playing beer pong. She's supposed to be a Hooters girl. Obviously, they're in a bar. And, you know, that one is easy to figure out. And then this also is easy to figure out by my friend Corey Hardiman. And I love this one, too, because I just love the fact that it's so obscure and it's so, like, weird. And it's, again, it's just that new school bend the rules, and we have her. And I don't know if you know the story of Sister Mercy, but I love the story.
Right.
Yes. It's brilliant.
And that was an early one too.
Yeah.
That one was fun for us because we did a lot of different things on the background on that one where it's his lines.
Right.
Where I didn't really do a lot of coloring in the background. I left a lot of his shading and just added some tones into it just to make her pop a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I just love this. And when I saw this one, and one of the cool things about Corey's Kickstarter is that you got to pick which covers you wanted.
Right.
Cheaters. And that's what I really liked about this, because I'm like, well, you know, I'm going to be spending $70. I might as well get this one. Because this is, I would have really wanted just to buy 3 of these.
Right.
And I was pissed that the original artwork sold on your website.
Yeah.
So I was so tempted to buy that. I'm like, fuck. But we all make mistakes. Is the point.
You know, we're learning. Being inside of a 3-year curve, we've had to learn as we go. And so her learning how to color was tutorials and on her own. I mean, I only started drawing on 11x17 paper maybe a year and a half ago.
Finally, I was like, please work on 11x17.
She bought 11x17 cover pads that are formatted for covers because I was still drawing 9x12 on 9x12 paper. I was drawing it the size for a cover, but it was small.
We were arguing because it wasn't coming out.
So
we were arguing because I would go to scan it in. I was like, oh, well, now I have to change the whole thing. And I was like, just draw an 11x17, would you?
So what is that like? Because one of the things that I talk about, and obviously I talk about it with investing in a variety of other things, is that if you don't have the right tools, you really are not going to be able to do the job correctly. And I think people don't understand that. And I think a lot of people who I interview are writers. I do a lot of cover artists too, but I obviously speak to a lot of creators, and maybe a bunch of writers don't even understand how a cover is made exactly. And
Right.
I think that's a big problem because I can't draw for shit.
Right.
And if you said, hey, even if you were to teach me and I was to spend like a year apprenticing under you, I would still suck. I just can't draw.
Right.
And I don't think people understand how complicated it is to build out a cover, because what you do seems like everybody can do it, but nobody really can do it. Per
Right.
se, it's a unique selected few can do this cover.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes. And
He just likes that cover.
he does like that. It's a great cover.
It is
It's got
great.
a lot of pop.
Oh,
and color.
it's so much fun. Yeah.
But yeah, no, the interesting thing is, I saw somebody today. Somebody had posted on Facebook or something about panel work, right? And the person that posted was basically slamming cover artists who haven't put their time in on panel work. And here's the thing, panel work isn't easy. I'm doing some, but it was under protest. Panel work is a different game. Like I just looked at the post and I'm like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Cover art is different than panel. You can be a great panel artist and not be able to produce a decent cover. It's a different game, and it's not a criticism.
I was going to say
It's
they're
just
equally important.
They're both
just
important,
different. Yeah.
and they're talented people in both sides of the equation. But it's the same thing. You could write fantastic short stories or great comic books. That doesn't make you a novelist. Like, everybody has different areas they can excel in or different areas that they can do well in. So for me, covers were just a natural progression of the types of drawings I was doing. So it just felt easier to me to get into that part. So I never had a chance really to get into any of the other art aspects of comics, but I'm okay with that. I mean, everybody has their thing that they do well.
And even to go further into that, because obviously covers do matter. I mean, you spend a lot of time on Kickstarter, and I don't think it's a secret that a lot of people back Kickstarters for the cover.
Right.
I mean, I'm a variant guy. I tend to be on the comic book investing side of business. And
Right.
so I'm looking at what books are going to be worth money. What books do I want to have in my collection? What books do I want to get slabbed, for
Right.
instance? And as I stated, I now know stuff about Chuck's book, but
Right.
prior to looking at it, I'm like, oh man, this book looks cool.
Right.
Like, oh snap. Like, I don't really care what that cover looks like, or even, this book is that this cover just looks cool.
Right.
And it helps to sell me as an individual. It helps to get that book funded. And obviously, I'm going to show this one right here, which is Babe Scores and
Babe Scoring Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guarantee you that this book helped to get that project funded.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact numbers, and I could be completely wrong.
No, Dustin
Yeah.
has sworn. He said, I need a cover for a promo for Florida because he's going to the con. And he says it's for my new book, Babes, Gore, and Dinosaurs. I don't even know. I didn't even at the time know exactly what the book was about. I only have a little bit of detail. But as soon as he said dinosaurs, I thought Jurassic Park. So I drew her in a Jurassic Park outfit. I've got her nose booping a raptor that's trying to get at her because he's obviously enamored with her. And Dustin said the cover just blew out at the convention and has been one of his best sellers. But that's because it's Jurassic Park. Like, how do you not draw dinosaurs in Jurassic Park?
I think variant covers work for two reasons. First of all, you get it catches people's eyes, and not everybody has the same likes. So what you like, I'm not going to like, or, so that it helps get your book out. Second of all, it is a way to bring art and people that just want the art to buy your book.
Yeah.
So there is Stef Wilson and Kerry Ann fans out there that will buy the book to get the art.
Yeah, there are
So
people who are very much. I'm going to throw another artist where there's Paul Green, who is a
yeah,
legendary Zenescope artist,
Right.
and there
yes,
are people, and obviously we're going to talk about my friend Larry Higgins with Niobe in a second, but he basically went out and got a Paul Green cover. And I think he did it 2 or 3 times. And one of the things that there are people who are enamored and are Paul Green fans. They don't really care what cover Paul Green's on.
As
Now,
right.
long as he's on it.
They're gonna want to buy the Paul Green
as
cover.
as long as it is up to quality of what a Paul Green book should be.
Yeah.
Right.
Meaning that if it's a Zenescope Paul Green level book, they're just going to buy it.
Right.
And I've sold Paul Green books for real money. And so I know exactly what it is. And I think that's also what's going on where people are saying, look, I just like Steph Wilson and Kerry Ann and don't really care about the book. I just want this cover. And
Right.
$25, no worries. You
Right.
know, and I think that's sort of what's going on a little bit. And
like you said, like a Paul Green cover, if it's a good Paul Green cover, you don't care what initially you don't care what the story is. You're buying it for the Paul Green art. But you're also buying a comic book. So the chances are you might actually read the story that's in there. And that's what
And
these
then-
creators are hoping for.
Right.
So same thing, if there's a Steph and Kerry cover on that particular Kickstarter, well, you know what? Maybe I will read Babe Score and Dinosaurs because I happen to like Steph and Kerry's work and they did a cover on it.
So it
And
works both ways, so I mean that's why I love variant covers.
I mean, my favorite thing is when a creator does this, and I think creators should always do this, and some don't, and I think it's a mistake, is that if I buy a variant, you should send me a digital copy of your book for free.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why is that I don't want to open up your book.
Yes.
I never opened up Chuck's book. I
Right.
didn't open up Corey's book, but there was a digital copy, and I've read the book.
Right.
Because if I'm spending 25, 35, $40 on a comic, chances are I'm not opening it up.
Right.
Whether if I'm spending $10 on a book, I'm probably going to open it up.
Right.
Right.
And so I think that's something that, obviously I'll buy a variant and I'll stay for the story, but
Right.
I'm buying the variant. And
Right.
then obviously we got to talk about this one too, because I'm from Westchester.
Oh, I love that
Alton,
one.
Yes.
I love that one. Absolutely love that one.
That one was
You know
cute.
why? Because again, Alton is another creator who goes, look, I can write a comic story. I mean, and Alton can play.
Oh, Alton's a Renaissance man.
He's a
He's just
full-time
amazing.
musician. I mean, he's a musician like with published works that he gets paid for. He's got his master's, PhDs in business, and he writes comics. But for a guy that smart who has all those many talents, he says when it comes to a cover, he goes, do what you think is best.
Yeah.
He knows cover artists. Let the cover artists do whatever it is they do. And what I loved about doing that particular cover is, look at her thighs. That is not that girl has shape. And a lot of creators will tell you, oh no, you got to do this or you got to edit this. Alton just lets you go with it. And this girl came out so curvy. And I just absolutely love that she's got some shape to her.
Girls like my ex. So bad. And also though, what I really like about this, because Kerry Ann, you did the colors on this, and what was that like? Is the background is really colorful, where we get obviously sort of a sunset, and we get the house looking golden, and it's very much an autumn day going on. And what was that like? Because I feel like if this was sort of a summer scene, it wouldn't work, and she wouldn't look like my ex. So clearly.
Well, it was actually really funny because I think I had about 3 or 4 different color schemes in the background until we came up with the gold. And this is a good example of collaboration because I think I had more of like a pinky sky at first. And Steph's like, let's try a little gold. So, so I was playing with the color use and we came up with this gold and both of us were like, stop.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it just popped.
So it is just, sometimes it's just trial and error. And, what I have in my head is sometimes not what's in his head. And sometimes it's not even close to what comes out.
Yeah.
I like this cover and I should have bought it, but I didn't. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But Alton should be coming on hopefully in March. Actually, he should be coming on, I think, maybe in like the 3rd week in February.
Well,
nice.
we should
Yeah.
actually, didn't we just get these in?
So
So
I don't know yet.
It should be on our website soon. One thing we try to do very much because it's the right way to treat fans. If it's $30 on the Kickstarter, then it'll be $30 on my website. I am not trying to get an extra $10 out of somebody just because it's not available on the Kickstarter anymore. Like, if somebody charged $10 on the Kickstarter, I might charge 15 or something because that's a little low.
No, we usually do what's on whatever the Kickstarter is.
But yeah, so if it was,
then we don't put it up on the website until they're done, until the creator is done
selling it.
Like not just selling it, but when they're done shipping it.
Right.
And even if I've gotten my comps early and there's an Indiegogo going, we won't put the books up on the Kickstarter.
Yeah, we don't like to compete with
I don't want to compete with the creators. This is their time. Then I can sell mine.
But what I'm saying is, if you didn't get that cover on the Kickstarter, once I get my comps in, you won't pay more for it getting it off my website. So because sometimes
I think it's actually up on the site.
Sometimes people miss Kickstarters. It just happens, or they don't have the funding at the time.
Or there's 4 covers they want, and they want to just get one.
It's one of those things that sometimes I just miss something. Sometimes I don't realize I like a cover till after the fact.
Right.
And then sometimes it's just one of those things where there's 20 things going on, and
I think if it looks like your ex, you're almost required to buy the cover. I just think that's like a monster.
maybe I'm required to buy that cover. I mean, she looks like my ex, and it's kind of funny, and I just think it's hilarious.
And it's not like it's not like we're live streaming or something. We could pretend that your ex was the inspiration for that cover. I'll go with that story.
It is on the website.
Oh yeah, it is available on the website. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's where my money's going to go in the next hour.
It's under the VONJ because I put all of Austin's covers under VONJ.
I'm sure I'll find there. I'm sure somebody will direct me to it at some point in the next hour and a half after my bank account goes way downhill. But I deserve it. I deserve it. I know exactly what I'm buying. There's 2 covers I'm buying. Since I funded on Kickstarter, I like to reward myself for doing good work.
You should.
You should. Yeah. You know what? You're not wrong. When you have a small victory like that, if you don't give yourself a little treat or a little reward, like what's, you know what I mean? Like, I know people are like, oh, no, don't want to spend it. But you have to celebrate. You know what I mean? You got to celebrate those little things.
Huge. You don't have to take a trip to Europe, but a comic book or 2 is a good. We sell art books all the time. We do a couple different art books throughout the year, and whenever we sell out, we'll go to dinner or we'll go someplace fun or just to celebrate.
Yeah, no, I'm probably going to go to a liquor store tomorrow, but that's okay. I have one more interview for the week. And I have to be sober till then.
Only up till
Thursday is party day.
Nice.
And then, I understand what it's supposed to look like. But obviously, I do want to talk about Totally Rad Comics because I like Jim. And Jim's always been nice to me.
Jim's a good guy.
I love this cover.
Oh, I love doing that one.
Bomb.
This cover is so just retro. This is like my retirement in which that I just want to be on a beach and this is just such a wicked 80s cover.
Yeah. Well, especially with
the Walkman.
The Walkman. Giving her a Sony Walkman. And I had to look it up, and I forgot. And it was such fun retro nostalgia because I forgot that the Sony Walkmans used to have little orange foamy headpieces. And I was like, oh, my God, I remember having one of these things. So it was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. Jim covers are always fun. Jim is another one that Jim loves absolutely everything we do.
Yeah.
And he loves, he's so excited about when I'll send him the file after I'm done coloring. He's like, oh, yes. And it's like hearts and smiley faces all over my messenger. And so he's such a great person to work with because he's just like, okay, yeah.
He's got a lot of enthusiasm.
Love it. He's good for the ego.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about Jim, and particularly with a bunch of covers you've done, I'm going to show a bunch of them right now, is that he offers a lot of variety and a lot of different things. So obviously, this is a cool one right here.
Oh, the whiteout.
Yeah. Russia, obviously Toast Day. This is the only one I can show. The other one where she's got pasties on is great. And then when it's completely new, I think there's only one other one of this one where she's nude.
Right, when the toaster pops up.
So she smiles, she pulls her shirt down, and the toaster gets a big grin, and the waffles come flying out. Again, you get to tell a story between the two pictures, you know? Like his grumpy face changes, waffles are shooting out, she's got a big smile, and because she's having trouble with her toaster. And in the second picture, she figures out how to make her toaster work.
And one of the things, the reason why I bring this up is that Jim just had a Kickstarter that did very well, where he was just getting rid of inventory. It
Right.
legitimately was a Shopify store on Kickstarter,
Right.
and a bunch of your covers were up there, and it was, I think, for similar prices to his other Kickstarters that you did it for, and it was a really cool moment that people can actually get a bunch of covers.
Right.
And the Toast Day was up there, Star Wars stuff was up there. Obviously,
Valentine's one.
Yeah, Valentine's
this one
Day,
was
Slave
up there.
Leia.
Slave Leia.
And so it was just one of those things that was very cool, that was up there. And then obviously this is the one that's special in my heart due to my background, where obviously this is very veteran oriented.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a very cool one. And I think a bunch of the proceeds, either on your end or Jim's end, went to, you know,
Yeah, we did.
Jim's end. It was we did that cover for him for free, for charity.
For free.
And I think it was the original print, the original run of it all went to the Fisher House.
Yeah.
Which is a great organization that helps, you know, military and you know, rehoming.
So all the covers of that sold went to the Fisher House. We later did a black and white one, a black and white version of that cover that wasn't for charity. But that if you have that cover, your money went to veterans benefits.
And so that's one of the things, because I think Jim served, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then my background is that obviously I didn't serve. You know, both my grandparents served, and then I worked in DC in a bunch of VSOs.
Right.
And so I know the GI Bill inside out.
Right.
And it's a fun bill, and to read. And I was part of a team that got predatory lending definitely restricted from ITT Tech and Carthagena.
Oh,
so
good.
Very cool moment.
Right.
And big victory.
Right.
Under, you know, Trump, and it's something that I don't think people understand, that it was a big deal because it got rid of a lot of problems,
right,
with people getting screwed on their GI benefits.
Right.
So really cool. So obviously military stuff and military charity stuff is a big thing in my world.
Yeah.
We love to do, we've done a few different charity stuff throughout the years. We did our own charity during COVID. We're working on now with Russell and Comics for Kids with Russell Allen. So we always try to do something because this is what we can do. So, and this is what we do for a living. So if we can give back a little bit, we'll give back a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think it's very important to be charitable. And I think when people can give back, and they should, and obviously I'm a big, comic book legal defense fund guy. And so that's kind of my jam. And so all this mouse stuff that's going on is like right up my alley.
Right.
And I've been talking about it for years, and I'm just finally realizing how right I am. So, and I'm like, welcome to the club, guys.
Right.
There's a big table, and everybody's welcome to sit down with me and have that discussion. Dennis Kitchen has been on my show a bunch of times, who founded the Legal Comic Book Defense Fund. So I digress right there. And then obviously I want to show this one right here is always fun.
Cute.
Santa Claus at the photo op.
I like that one, and then this is cool too. And this is.
I was just looking at that one. That's on the wall. That's a good one. That's the Eddie Van Halen tribute.
So
we did that the day he died.
Yeah, it was on the day he died.
I think we did that super quick because we had heard he died. Jim's like, we should do a tribute. I think we had it to him in like 4 hours.
Yeah, and people got to understand that's one of the things. How do you get 200 covers in 3 years? Well, part of it is that Eddie Van Halen. We were on vacation in Cape Cod before we moved here, and we were enjoying our vacation in Cape Cod, and Eddie Van Halen died, and Jim said we should do a tribute for him. Well, if I do it a week later, it ain't going to mean anything. You know what I mean? We had to do it right away.
And did it. Yeah.
So we went back to the hotel, and I drew it out and then passed it on to her.
I actually just took a picture of it too because we didn't have a scanner. So I just took a picture of it.
She took a photograph of it with her iPad and then started coloring it. Like we literally will always be working if that's what's required.
Oh, we've worked on cruises.
Yeah. We worked on a cruise ship. Not by choice.
even to talk about this, because this is, I think, very interesting, is that one of the reasons why you got to almost 200 covers and you're getting to 200 plus covers at this point is you've done a lot of work for Jim. And, certain companies say, go buck wild in producing a comic cover. And what is that like to be able to work for a company that says, why not? Obviously, I may or may not be creating an entire company that wants to go down that path. And I think it's very interesting because that gives a lot of freedom and say, I got this crazy idea. Let's run with it and see what the fuck happens.
Right.
Because I don't know if you've been on Totally Rad's website, but they have like 50 pages of comics that you
Yeah.
Right.
Jim loves comics. Jim loves colors. He loves the art. And like you said, he gets excited about everything.
Every idea you give him.
And that's what makes Jim so great. It's just, I want to do this. The toaster. I mean, who does a cover about a toaster?
Who does a comic?
Who does a comic about a toaster? And it works for him. And for us, it's been a lot of fun working with him. And yes, he's probably not, I don't know, him and Naughty Fairies are up there with the two highest books that we've been on. But Jim, no, it's probably more Jim's because there's just the random Eddie Van Halen, covers. So yeah, no, but he's just a lot of fun to work with.
And so obviously, I mean, I like Totally Rad books, and I think they're great, and I'm in it for the covers. I have no idea what's in those books. I do not want to find out.
No. No, you don't.
I have never opened a Jim book.
No.
I love the art and I love the cover and I love his creativity the things that he does.
Yeah.
My favorite Jim book is the Totally Rad Combat.
Yeah.
And that is my ultimate favorite Jim book because it was just such a homage and it was so much fun. It was so bright. And, I know it sold really good for him. It sold really good for us. We sold out in one show.
Well, I thought it was funny because when they said they were coming out with the movie Mortal Kombat again, you saw a bunch of comic companies put various homages to Mortal Kombat as far as the outfit or something like that, dressing up their character in one of the outfits. And here's the thing. He, at the time, had 3 main characters. So the Totally Rad Combat cover, in my mind, was always all 3 of his girls, all in their different Mortal Kombat outfits. And we take the time, a lot of times, to redesign the logo or the title for the book to make it look specific to that. So we did the little dragon in the flame and use the same font as Mortal Kombat to put his title in there. Because, it's one thing to just take your comic book and slap your girl on there and put her in a Mortal Kombat outfit. It's another to actually compose a book cover that makes sense with all 3 of his characters and the title logo, everything working as you would see. Even their names on the bottom are in bit graphics.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things, and I'm a big Zenescope guy. And sometimes with Zenescope, they do a cover, and the cover makes no sense at all. Right. For instance, and I'm not going to say whose cover, but it's a girl, and so she's clothed and she's behind the Eiffel Tower. Makes perfect sense, sort of a touristy thing. But then there's a topless cover of that exact same thing, and I'm like, why would a girl be topless next to the Eiffel Tower in the exact same way? This doesn't make sense. Right. It's not, and I feel sometimes people get lazy when you're producing a cover. And look, I'm not a big nude guy because a lot of stuff that I buy will eventually be sold in my eBay business. And nude books on eBay are now being cracked down upon. And that's a problem for me as a seller and as somebody who invests in comic books because it tests the business. But at the same time, I do have nude books that are personal books. And I'm like, this makes no sense as far as art. It's just doing nudity for the sake of nudity versus doing it to enhance a cover. And so what is that like? Because obviously a lot of the covers I showed have nudity around them. And there's a nude cover and then there's a traditional cover. That Toast book is a good example, but I don't feel like it's nudity for the sake of nudity.
Right. Well, that one kind of, you had a story. That's why Stef was saying about having a story. Sometimes we'll choose to do an ultra sheer instead of a nudity because sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
Right. Like you said, if the girl in front of the Eiffel Tower has a sheer shirt on, that's a possibility as opposed to it just being topless. And there's, it always it amazes me because there's always little things you can do. And sometimes the creators that we work with, no, they're like, no, that's fine. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do a topless and I'm going to do a regular, at the very least, I could mirror image it. So that if somebody gets both books, they get a slightly better perspective of the two covers. So it's not just, random kind of, and sometimes you can change the background, like the Witches of Westchester cover. Sometimes you can tweak the background a bit so that they get a different picture with the version. Like even that Witches of Westchester,
we didn't go nude.
Right. Originally, we were going to do a regular and a topless because that's what he was expecting. And instead, we gave her a slightly sheer shirt and a schoolgirl skirt. And we gave him two covers that have very beautiful artwork that stands alone. So you could get the schoolgirl or you can get the jeans. And neither of them have to be topless for it to still be a great set that works together.
Yeah, and I just think it's creativity, and I think it's people not being lazy.
Right.
In which that, I'm not saying artists are lazy, but
No.
I find that sometimes people are saying, look, you know what is, maybe I don't want to do the extra work or get a little creative, or maybe, you have 15 covers in your backlog and you're just like, I can't do this and I don't want to go the extra mile. And look, I get it. Obviously I do a lot of interviews and sometimes I can't fully do the exact interview or promote it the exact way and go 110%. But, I try, and sometimes I get creative on how I want to promote an interview,
Right.
And so that's something that I just think is fascinating. This is something that obviously why I want to interview you, because I've gone through a bunch of your covers and I'm like, oh shit, like there's actually creativity here. There's real cool stuff, and I happen to like
it. Try.
Yeah, like when
and sometimes creators are just like, no, just give me a nude and a regular.
Just give me a nude and a regular.
Just take her top off. We're like, okay.
All right.
I mean, it's they're paying us to do a job. We're going to do what they want.
For Wendy's 100th cover, we've got a girl standing in front of the dragon, and she has a metal top on. Then we ended up doing 4 versions of it.
Oh, yes.
So she has a metal top on. Then the inside.
That was your 100th cover too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
both of your 100th covers.
It was Wendy's 100th cover and my 100th cover. And so it's a solid metal top. Then it's a sheer sparkling top.
And then there's a tail in front of her chest.
Then there's a version where the dragon's tail actually swings around to conceal her breast. And then in the last one, it's topless. So there's actually 4 versions of that.
So I think this is the one, right?
No.
That's not the one? Or is it? It's not this one either, is it?
No.
There I go.
You got it where?
I don't know if I have it. But that's why I'm asking.
It's just like with a little bit of creativity, we came up with 4 different versions of it, all of which did fantastic. And also, all of them had, and that's the thing, we don't want to just do a topless or just do a sheer, unless each one has something special about it that makes it different.
Because I don't think I have this one.
I'm only going to show 2 because I didn't bring the nudes.
Here, she didn't bring the nudes.
So
it's all right.
There's the one with the tail in front.
And then this one is with the full top.
And that one was the full top. And then there was 2 other versions like that.
Then there was a sheer top, and then there was a nude top. So it was a lot of fun because at least it kind of made sense. And then the dragon's tail in front of her kind of tied it all together.
That's a cool cover.
It's a beautiful cover.
And obviously, since we're on, Wendy's books, obviously there's a bunch of cool stuff. So I kind of teased this one.
That's my other favorite. That's my favorite Naughty Fairies cover.
And then this is just in gold.
In gold, the gold version.
And then I think there's another one that's nude, I want to say.
No.
There's like a third one, I think.
No, there's one. Yeah, it has a forest background
or something. Yeah,
it's a different background and different lighting on it.
And then there's this one too that's out there, and I know it's not.
That was my first Naughty Fairies book that I covered. I think that was the 3rd cover it was on.
Yeah.
And then there's this also that's out there.
Yes,
everybody loved the peacoat.
Yeah.
And then there's this one too, which is just super cool. It's got a Japanese feel to it.
That one and the blue one are connecting.
They match. Yeah, the waves match up.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even know.
It's just in blue to pink.
I see it now because it actually makes a lot of sense. But I didn't even see that. So and then there's this one here.
She's so cute, the little siren is.
And
I'm very close. For my style, if I do a little bit of shortening and a little bit of shrinking, it's very easy for me to
do a
chibi type of look to my work because it's just a little over exaggeration of what I do now.
I mean, I like chibis. My entire logo, which is not on display because I'm super lazy, is a chibi. See, it's up
Yeah,
there.
very
now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
She's
working with Wendy
horrible.
is amazing, and she's another one that's just, you know, we collaborate on a lot of things. We're actually working on a couple projects right now, but when it comes to the cover, we kind of like all talk it out, and then it's like, okay, yeah, that works. And she's another one that gets so excited about. We have a project coming out at the end of the month that is, we can't talk about it, but it is so exciting, and it was a complete collaboration, though. It was something she saw, said, "Oh my God, we have to make it. We have to do this." And so we changed it up the way we needed to, and it's happening. So I'm so excited.
And then obviously this is out there, which is
Yes.
cool because it's
Yes.
obviously referencing Ozzy. You know, we got, you know, the record, some vinyl, we got that cover, and this is cool. I don't even know I'm technically supposed to pronounce this title.
Siren S.
Okay, Sirenus. That's as good as it's gonna get. But what was this like? Because obviously, you know, you got some Ozzy Osbourne now in play.
Yeah, this one was actually, we were talking with Wendy one night, and I was video chatting with her, and we were talking about something else, and then Siren S came up in her Naughty Fairy Comic Con, and Steph started talking about music, and so we started, and I just pulled that cover up, like I just put in heavy metal band, and that cover came up, and we were all like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. So then we did the homage to that cover, and that was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
For me as the colorist, it was a lot of fun because I got to do the background myself.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do work on that Kickstarter because album art is something we grew up with. Albums came with great art on them. And so to be able to do a Kickstarter that the covers look like album art was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm 29, so I did not get that. And my
you
generation,
missed a great era.
Oh man,
so
music was our lives.
Albums, vinyl.
It's unfortunate, and you know, CDs. I don't remember CDs all that much.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just like it's a generation lost. It's terrible.
Right.
It's terrible. But nothing I can do about that because
well, now you get to see the homages done on great comic books.
There you go.
So,
and all the music I listen to is from the 80s, the 70s, and the 80s. I don't listen to anything new, and there's nothing new out there. And maybe I listen to like Swedish punk rock.
That's okay. That's fun.
But yeah, it's bad. And this one is also, you know, Sirenus, and it's the same rock and roll, and obviously. I think these are like super limited. Some of them.
Yes, there was well, whatever sold is done now. There was only 3 diamond and like 8 platinum and 10 no
3 diamond, 5 platinum, and 8 gold.
Yeah, and
yeah,
so
the diamond went right away.
The diamond was sold out, and I think she only had a few left of the other ones. I mean, she did it really well with them. And they're going to be metal covers.
Those are all going to be metal, yeah.
Yeah, because it's just one of those things, and obviously I'm a variant guy. You know, obviously a bunch of people that I know are variant people, and well, exclusivity is king.
Yeah.
And speaking about exclusivity, got to talk about somebody who is very much watching my last interview heavily, and I'm sure he's going to appreciate me talking about his book. But Niobe.
Yes,
Larry.
Yes, and I was on his show last night, so. Yeah, so what's the story behind this one? Because I can't find this book anywhere.
And that was an early cover for us.
Yeah, we don't even have any left.
We sold out of them.
We sold out of them super quick. I know Larry sold out of them. It was just, she was so poppy, so fun, and I believe it did well for Larry.
Yeah.
Because I like I said, I know that it did super well for us. We got our comps in, and we were sold out within like 2 days.
Yeah, and then this one, I know Larry has, because this is actually Larry's book.
Yes.
So this one's on eBay, and he's asking $360 for it.
Right, I know.
What is he at for it?
like 360 or something.
Really?
Huh?
I don't think we have any left
No.
either. So
No,
yeah.
we didn't. We
Yeah,
sold
we
out.
sold that one too because they, they're beautiful and she's such a great character. I like Niobe. I love that. I love Larry.
That's
He makes me laugh.
That's another early one of ours too. That wasn't. He asked for that one not too long after the first one.
Yeah, the first one was very early on, and it was poppy. This one was very more muted.
Yeah, that
and
first
a little bit more. It was prettier.
That first Larry cover could have been in the first 6 months we were doing covers. That one, well, that was probably the first 6 months that we were doing covers.
That was
He
so
was
much
one
fun.
of the first creators to jump on our work.
Yeah, no, because this one is expensive. It's the only one on eBay,
Right.
and I personally think it's slightly overpriced. But
I agree.
Market determines everything.
Right.
But
I was
this
gonna
one,
say market depends. That determines it.
Yeah, but that's the hard one to get. If you can get that one's a rare one.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen this one pop up on eBay.
And the problem is 5 minutes after we get a fan, they become a friend. Part of it is we bond on our live streams. The other part of it is they'll message me, and I don't just answer a message and go back to what I'm doing. Like the whole part of comics for us is people. So if you're in my messages asking me a question about the website, you're very likely going to get dragged into a conversation with me in messages. So 5 minutes after we have a fan, they become a friend. And what that means is when they buy that purple Niobe cover, it goes into their personal collection and it doesn't come out again.
Right now we're lucky. We have a lot of people that actually want our work, to keep our work.
To keep it.
And
So
not
they're
to
not-
resell it.
they're not
There's
reselling.
a concept in investing where it's the idea that certain covers, and I was explaining to my mom a long time ago, and I obviously coach people on comic book investing, and I sell books that don't come out, all that often, and then they're going for $300, and you're asking, why is a $25 book 4 years ago going for $300? It's because people don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
And it goes into personal collections.
Right.
And there's certain books that just fetch money. And look, every book in my collection has a lifespan.
Right.
And I like certain books, and there's books that I have that are not going to be released out in the wild per se. And then also certain books like that Niobe, for instance, it'll come up in 5-6 years.
Right.
At some point, because somebody will be like, hey, I'm looking for $300 on it. It's time to let it go. I like it, but I don't love it anymore. But it's the idea that those things don't come up all that often.
Right.
And it's a very weird thing at this point now where people don't let go of their collections.
Right.
And it says a lot about your work. It says a lot about what Larry's doing. It says a lot about what people are doing in the comic world.
And like that Harley thing that you showed earlier, if you want that now, it's been sold from his website. It's been sold from my comps. So
I don't think
unless it's coming out of somebody's personal collection, you're not going to find it. Like when people see something like this cover
so cute,
and they reach out to me about it, I'm like, I have no idea where you can get one at this point. And so that's what makes them interesting covers, because somebody will discover my work 2 years later, and then all of a sudden they're going to be like, oh, where do I get this cover? And I'm like, I don't know. It came out 2 years ago. Good luck. Oh, is he here?
Yeah, no, but I also think that cover is that one of the things about Niobe, and obviously I'm a little bit late to the Niobe party, and Larry knows that, but I also think Niobe is now gaining steam.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Niobe just, I think on their last one did 25,000.
Right.
And now that book is gaining steam, it's gaining fans. And so now people want to go backwards. They're like, oh, you as an artist are gaining steam, and that book is gaining steam. And now all of a sudden you have what is known as a value ladder occurring. And this is something that I teach.
Yep.
And it's very important, where I understand the whole economic side of why people want it. Because they know for a fact that you have two racehorses that are pulling the cart now at a faster pace.
Yeah, and like you said, like Larry with Antarctic Press, Niobe being in Antarctic Press, that's another lift to Niobe. So again, that's another thing that's going to make his books worth more.
In the fray with that, and it's very interesting. And obviously, those two books are worth money.
Yeah,
and one of those books is really hard to find.
Yeah,
and it's if you can find it and you can find it for a reasonable price, and look, they'll eventually come up, no
Right.
question about
Of
it.
course, eventually. But the problem is you could reach out to, I could tell you probably a dozen of my fans who I know have it. I even know who has the original art for that. She's never going to part with it. So there's a bunch of people who have it who are never giving it up. So unless they pass on and somebody sells their lot, um, that's what makes it hard to get, is because those people aren't turning those books back out into the market.
And so that's something that's very interesting, and I think it's awesome. And obviously, still always want to highlight Larry. You can go get it. Preview. Niobe's coming. Previews, guys.
Right,
Go
right.
to your local comic shop.
Well,
I am not-
Larry is smart because he makes his books exclusive and he sticks to his word. And that makes such a difference. And, for him and for us, because that does bring that exclusivity back to us. So, I mean, it's wonderful. It makes it more important, for people to keep those books.
Yeah, it's very much a very interesting thing. Limited print runs matter.
Yeah,
This is my business.
definitely.
I have sold a lot of books that have a 250 print run, a 150 print run, and that stuff matters to me. And that's what I almost exclusively deal with on eBay. Is I am not interested in selling a book that doesn't have a hard limit on it.
Right.
When we do our artist variants, and we've done a few, we only do about 35.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So you get something exclusive.
So you get something exclusive.
Even our art book that's coming out this week.
Tomorrow.
There's 50 copies. That's it. You get in, we launch it. We're going to launch it tomorrow at 8:00 at night. You get on the website and you get yours. Once the 50 are gone, we won't reprint that book. That's because we're offering it as something exclusive to our fans. So we don't want to go back and reprint it, because it's not about making more money off of the book. It's about, this is what we're saying we're going to do. And this way our fans know they've got one of 50.
And also, one of the things that happens is that obviously there's sketchbooks out there and there's limited things like that. And a lot of that stuff now is also popping up in people's collections. And if all throughout COVID, I've been on a bunch of live streams, and this is very important. I think that people don't understand is that some of those sketchbooks go for 40, 50, 60 bucks when they were like $10 back in the day. Right. And so people clearly want these items now, and they want to see different art, and they want to see a variety of different things. So obviously it's very cool in that realm. And then there is one more cover I want to talk about.
I just wanted to show it. This is the art book that goes up on Wednesday. And we had never done, this time last year, we had never done an art book before. This is our fourth. And this is the one that's going up on Wednesday.
This is the first one that's limited to 50. The other ones were limited to 100.
And inside you get pictures of, those are the sketches that people bought. And then Kerry goes and colors them on a few pages, a bunch of pages on the inside, as well as the cover. And, we never thought of doing an art book until a year ago, and now we're on our fourth. And that, again, like you said, it's something we do for our fans. So there's only 50 of them, and once it's gone, and that makes it somewhat special.
Yeah, no, I think it's smart, and obviously people want it, and the market determines, and these things sell out. And I know because I've seen them sell out, and they sell out fast and hard. And it's very important that you be ready at 8:00 tomorrow. Yeah. Just saying.
Yep. And we'll go live so people know.
There is one more cover I want to talk about.
Okay.
And it's this one right here.
Mike and Trish.
Oh, how fun. Love that one.
And then there's this one too. And the lollipops are not lollipops.
Right.
So let me explain a little bit about the story, and you can stop me at any point unless you want to explain the story. I'll let you explain the story of what this exactly is, what it's potentially referencing, and all that stuff, because there is a big story behind it.
So Mike and Trish sent me a picture of the characters to get a cover with us. And so they sent me a picture of the two characters, and they said, what do you want? And what do you guys want for a cover? And Mike's had an idea, something like a virgin from the album cover. And I'm like, oh, okay, why? And it's an 80s thing. And I'm like, okay. And so they had like a second suggestion. but Mike and Trish are huge Big Dog Inc. fans. And so when we were chatting back and forth about doing the cover, I said, what is the first Big Dog Inc. book you ever got? Because you guys are such huge fans. So she sent me that picture of the original cover from Big Dog Inc. that has that lettering, has those two girls, the casino table, the burning money. And I said, well, why don't I homage the first comic you got from Big Dog Inc.? And they reached out to Tom and got approval for it or whatever. And my intention was not to duplicate that cover, but to do it in my style, like you said, that tattoo pinup, new wave pinup style, so that it was still my work, but the font on the lettering, the outfits, everything else would be true to the Big Dog Inc. page. So.
Yeah, and what is that like? Because this goes into a whole new territory in a lot of ways, where obviously it's your style, it's referencing a Big Dog Inc. You know, I think Penny for Your Soul, and now it's not anymore just another Steph Wilson cover with a bunch of other covers out there, and Steph Wilson Kerry Ann cover. It's now this is saying, hey, Big Dog Inc. We're referencing and paying homage and respect to you as well. So now, if you're a Big Dog Inc. fan, you got to say, cool, I want this book too. You're a Steph Wilson fan, I need this book. And now you've crossed into a new realm. And I don't know if you've ever homaged another book before. And
I've homaged other works before. I don't think other books. In other words, I've homaged Frazetta and some other artists on various covers, but I don't think I've ever done somebody else's book.
I'm thinking not. No, like we did the Sisterhood, which was a Frazetta.
Yeah.
So, and you know, we've homaged different looks, but yeah, not another book. This was the first time, you know. And I think from Mike and Trish, it's a great, like you said, great avenue to get into, because now not only are you opening up to Steph Wilson fans, you're also opening up to BDI fans a little bit. So, which is fabulous.
And my thing too is I love that when creators have a personal connection to a cover. This is a very special, that cover is a very special Big Dog Inc. comic to Mike and Trish. Right. It's very important to them. It's how they kind of joined the rest of the indie comics community, was through buying that comic. And so it's special to them, which makes it special to me to be able to do it.
And also they have a slightly different, I guess, realm in comics where they really are having a good time with this. All this is paid for. They've worked really hard. They've paid for all the art ahead of time. Yep. And I think they're viewing Kickstarter maybe recoup some of their money, but also to, you know, put into the next project. And this is very much a hobby for them.
It's a passion project.
They wanted this book to come out. This is Mike's story. This is in Mike's head. And we're so excited that he gets to, you know, that he gets to, you know, gets to share it with the world. And that's the important part to him. And so we're so happy for them.
And so it's different. And I think they're going to do well with it. I really do. Because I think they're going to at least break even, if not do a little bit better with it. But it's also, I think it's also a different book where it's very much that this is their project, and it's not a business. Like my podcast is a business for me, and it's enjoyable, but it's also like, you know, Larry's a good example where Larry's running that OB as a business in a lot of ways. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. I actually kind of like their book. Their book's fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. This is their personal project. Like you said, they've already paid for everything on the project. So they're just doing this Kickstarter to recoup the money that's gone into the project.
And so there's a lot of stuff. And I didn't even get to half of what I wanted to talk about with your covers and all that stuff. You guys have a lot of stuff going on. And obviously there is a lot of stuff happening with it. And you got a lot more covers coming up and all that stuff. And so obviously you have Bad Kerry, which is your entire company, and you do everything else too. I mean, you got art books, as you showed. Those art books do sell out quickly. I think you sell some original art on there. On the website. That stuff goes pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
We've got some prints. We've got some merchandise.
I do commissions.
Stef does commissions.
So.
And then the art books, cover galleries, different projects that we're, trying to come up with and doing things. Just keep it fresh.
Our goal this year is to have more personal projects. Like last year, we had 3 art books because we didn't even know we were going to do the first one, let alone do 3. So this year, we've changed the format, made it the book more affordable, slightly smaller format, not size-wise, but in page count, so that we could do more themes. So we've got Pajama Party going on right now. And when that's done, we'll make an art book for that. And that'll also allow us to release a couple more personal projects throughout the year.
So yeah, and then even going further into all this, obviously you got a lot of stuff going on, and my dog's just drinking everybody. And so you got a lot of stuff going on with this. Obviously, you do commissions, because I know somebody was asking about that, and pretty much anything anybody wants from you, they can pretty much get. You also are live every Thursday night.
Yes.
And we were talking about this before, where it is not easy to run a live show. It is not easy to do any of that. Obviously you were explaining that you prep up like 4 images and all that stuff.
Right.
So that's something to pay attention to. And so obviously, where can people find you on that live show as well?
We're on the Artist Alley Shopping Network. You have to be a member of that group to be able to comment. You can view the video, but if you want to join the chat, which is the whole fun, because that's where my fans get rowdy and have a good time, then you do have to join the Artist Alley Shopping Network by just answering a few questions. It's a Facebook group. And then I'm on Instagram, the Stef Wilson. I'm on Twitter, rarely, I should say.
We're both on Facebook. And then he's under Stef Wilson. I'm under Kerry Ann. We also have a YouTube channel. It's called You Can Draw with Stef Wilson and Kerry Ann, and it is just our You Can Draw segments. So it is kid friendly, which is which is very exciting. Yeah. I do a lot of editing, but it is kid friendly. And this is where the part of our live show that Stef teaches people how to draw. So it's a lot of fun. They're about 20-minute little clippets. So that's available. And then we have our website, which is stefwilsonart.com.
And then my final question is that, how do people book you? Because people obviously want covers from you. And I know that you're in hot demand. And where can people find you, book you, and all that stuff? Because that's what people really want. And I know there's a bunch of people who really want to book you, and you have somewhat of a waiting list, from my understanding.
Actually, the best way to reach me is Facebook Messenger, because I check that constantly, because that's where 95% of my business transactions come through, is through interactions on Facebook Messenger. You can also message me on Instagram. I know that's Axbone's preferred platform. He's one of the few creators who gets covers from me through Instagram, because I'm only on Instagram like 3 times a day, whereas Facebook Messenger, I walk around with that thing on all, like 24 hours.
And you could always message us through the website.
You can message us through the website if you want to get
There's
a hold
a
of us
contact us section.
But and as far as waiting goes, I'm my own worst enemy, because I don't like people to wait like more than a week for a commission. I start to stress out. And it's the same thing with a cover. Like, if you need a cover, the first cover that Kerry Ann and I ever did was Vince Hernandez from Aspen.
For Syria. Was
reaching out for his personal project, and he didn't have enough skin on any of his covers. Yes, that one.
That one.
So he says we were just chatting, and he was like, I need a cover that has more skin on it. Everybody's telling me that. And I'm like, when do you need it by? He's like, Monday. I said, no problem. And he says, yeah, but it needs to be colored. And I'm like, well, and I sent him some pictures of Kerry Ann's colors. I said, can she color it? He says, yeah, but I still need it by Monday. I'm like, and this is like literally Saturday night. And I'm like, it's still not a problem. And it blew his mind that I would draw Saturday night to hand this off to her on Sunday.
And that was my first
And that's
cover.
our first published cover. So
it was very nerve-wracking to only have
one day.
The good thing is I didn't have enough time to stress.
Yeah.
Or to think about it. I just had to do it. And so, yeah, that was my first published cover.
And that hasn't changed for us. In other words, if you need it tomorrow, Yeah, we'll do it. We'll get it done for you tomorrow.
I told you, we usually say yes and figure it out. I
And-
mean, you know, we have said no in the past to some outrageous stuff, but for the most part,
Yeah.
we say yes.
We
and
say
figure
yes
it
and
out.
figure it out. So if it means we stay up later or get up earlier or work a little bit harder at it, if somebody needs a cover, that's what we're here for. That's our job, you know. So we'll do it.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on, and you guys bang out covers. There's a reason why you can get things done quickly. And if anybody needs a cover within a week, preferably though, if you need a cover, you should probably hit them up a lot sooner.
Yeah,
than
that'd be
Time is
helpful.
good, but we have done rush jobs.
Yeah.
But obviously, I do want to give you guys a chance to promote. So you promoted slightly, but obviously, I know the art book's coming out tomorrow, 8 o'clock. And again, where can people find you, support you, check out what you're doing, Kickstarters that you're on? Because I know you're on a few Kickstarters right now.
Oh
I looked
gosh.
up and all that fun stuff.
So yeah, we're on Babes, Gore, and Dinosaurs for 5 more minutes. I think it's ending. Like,
I think it
literally
ends
now.
tonight. Yeah.
We're on Axe Bones Kickstarter, which is Lady Ragnarok. We're on what else?
Tragedy still on Indiegogo.
Tragedy's still on Indiegogo.
Yes.
Alton,
we're going to be on the new Vampires of New Jersey.
Vampires of
that's coming
New Jersey
out
coming out.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Lewis's is coming out, so we'll be
Lewis
on.
will be coming out soon. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, and we know we're missing somebody. It's Primal.
Primal, yes.
Yes,
Eric
Primal.
Allen Nelson's Primal cover. We've got a cover with Primal right now on Kickstarter. Then we've got our art book on Wednesday night. Where to reach it? Where Facebook, we're easy to find because I'm all
Right.
over Facebook.
But
24 hours.
StefWilsonArt.com is the website. There we do have a mailing list. I do send out coupons. If you do sign up for the mailing list, please confirm your subscription or you won't get an email, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we don't send junk mail out.
I only send coupons.
She only sends coupons.
So,
so if you sign up for the mailing list, you won't get crap.
and we do have some great prints. I just put them up. They're sweater girls from the last book. And where's the sweater book?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was right here. You keep putting the laptop on it. There you go.
So, yep, there's the sweater book.
And that'll come out Wednesday.
Can I show one of these?
And on Instagram, I'm the Stef Wilson, just because I had to be, because that was the only way I could get in there. So, what are you looking for?
One that's not so.
What? That one's not bad.
That one's not that bad. So, and then there's some. I definitely.
That's such a me girl. That's what you were talking about. That is such a me girl. And then you see the little dog. She's looking in the stove to check the turkey for Thanksgiving. And yet the dog has a turkey leg in his mouth. So somebody has gotten into the stove. And that's the fun stuff we like to do. Tell a story. There's a story right there. She's checking the stove and the dog's already been in there.
So the story behind these sketchbooks is that Stef will do a claims throughout the week for the whatever theme we're doing, right? This theme is sweater girls. Right now he's working on pajama party. And so he'll do like 35 of them or 40 of them. And then I'll go through and color some, and then we put them all together in a book.
I'm not too sure who that person is.
That would be Wendy.
That's Wendy. That's Wendy.
Well, Wendy should hit me up for an interview, but that's not the point.
Right. Oh, she's wonderful. You should definitely interview her.
Oh God, she's a wonderful interview. She's so adorable.
But obviously there's a lot of stuff, and that book's going up tomorrow, 8 o'clock,
Yes.
which is hard. And then there's a bunch of other stuff, and obviously anything that anybody wants, you know.
And it's very easy to find out what's going on with me because there's one thing I believe in just as much as doing the art.
Social media
is the promotion. So if I'm on Axbone's Kickstarter, that's an honor to me. I mean, besides the fact that I absolutely love Axbone, or if I'm on Eric's Primal or Dustin's BGD or Wendy's, I promote a lot for what I'm on because I want people to find. My thing is, I want our fans to be able to find our work. So I promote any Kickstarter I'm on over and over again during the Kickstarter campaign. And like this art book or something, if I've got something going on, I'm on social media to talk about it so that my fans don't miss out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's perfect. So as I was saying, anybody who needs anything from you guys, obviously that art book's going up, you know, this is the way you support is backing their Kickstarters, checking out what they're doing, you know, anything that's on, you know, your Instagram, Facebook pages, all that stuff. And you could back, obviously Steph Wilson, Kerry Ann by actually backing other people's Kickstarters, going on the website. If you miss those Kickstarters, checking out what they're doing, obviously following them on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook pages, and everything else. And then obviously go pick up those art books tomorrow because they're going to sell out like that. So obviously that is very
As long as they're not looking for a Niobe cover, they'll be all right.
Yeah,
those are sold out.
exactly. As much as I love Larry, those Niobe covers, you're gonna have to, dig deep and then
Dig deep, yeah.
dig deep in your wallet too while
That
you're
purple
at it.
motorcycle cover, that one's gonna be worth something.
And you're gonna have to dig deep, search hard, and dig in your wallet hard. But on that note, I think that is a wrap.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you for showing up. I
yeah.
appreciate it. So I believe that is a wrap, everybody.